everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coco. Um, Today's episode is going to be short and sweet, so I'm going to get. Well, no, I'm not going to get right to the point. I have been away for a while, so y'all know I always say that, and it really hasn't been that long. Um, I think I've done an episode since my birthday. Have I? I think I have. Um, but still, lots have changed. Lots have changed. I have successfully completed my relocation, I guess you can say. Um, my son and I just moved into our new place, so shout out to us. Definitely driving me crazy because things are not where they need to be, but I'm trying to keep myself right. I can't do so much. And also, I wanted to say sometimes my son does listen if it pops up on YouTube. Um, as I had talked about before, moving back home was definitely something that I was unsure as far as how it will go, mainly regarding him. But he has really been doing so well since we have been here. He got, of course, the first report card from his last semester, and his school honored him because he is a high honor roll student and he has a 3.667. So he's really been just blowing my mind with like how he's been doing in school, and he's excited about it. Like I told him he can stay home last Friday because of like the snow, and he wanted to go to school because he wanted to finish his DNA model. um but he's really just been doing good. But 3.667 is absolutely amazing. So if you are listening, I'm super proud of you. You've been doing your thing. Yeah, that's all I have for updates. So I am going to start off with my move for today.
Like damn, she on move. Like damn, she on move.
Now, I know I usually play you a song, but I don't have a song in my spirit today. And I also don't have a song in relation to the topic. But I saw this post on social media, and I figured I would take the opportunity to read it because maybe somebody needs to hear it, right? So it says, there is nothing more romantic than walking back into your own life after being gone for so long, finding routes that lead you back to yourself when the map in your life isn't legible, remembering who you are again after misplacing all the keys that lead you back home. Remembering who you are is the greatest love story. And here you are, slowly returning back to yourself with softness, with love, wearing energy that feels like a brand new outfit, but fitting of who you've always been, with kindness, with patience, healing parts of yourself along the way. You are always worth the wait. And here you are, after all of their false opinions and misunderstandings, blooming away from the dirt they've tried to sprinkle onto your spirit, prepared for any season that comes your way, rooted in nothing but truth. And after being lost for so long and losing elements of yourself worthwhile navigating through jungles of judgment and oceans filled with opinions, here you are, stronger, wiser, and thriving. Stings to your self esteem and bites aimed at your being could never poison your progress. Darling, you were never broken. You just needed to remember that you were always whole. Maybe it's not about becoming a new you, but becoming more you in ways that are recognizable to your authentic self. Trust who you are, trust who you're becoming, but trust who you didn't become as well. You've been exactly who you need to be in every step of your journey. Sometimes seeing the bigger picture means coming to the realization that you've always been the puzzle piece that you never knew you needed to unlock the next level of your life. Every road you take that leads you back to yourself is worth the mileage. So that touched me, and I just wanted to pass that along to you all. Now, one thing I forgot to do before I went live right quick is make sure that my live is on public so I can see y'all comments, because y'all be saying stuff and I'm not able to see it. Somebody said something and
Yeah, they must not be.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you. Yeah, I just made it public, so I should be seeing the comments now.
There we go.
Okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, as you can see in the title of my episode, the episode about societal influence. Society influences us in a lot of ways, but today I am going to specifically focus on body image in relation to being a plus size woman. So I'm going to talk about how the societal influence shows up in your friendships as well as how it shows up in your relationships. I saw this video on social media and I wanted to play this and then we will kind of dissect it and have a conversation. You gonna play it for me?
Being the plus size friend. But I'm not going to talk about it in a way that everybody else typically talks about it. Like I said, I seen Charlamagne talk about something was big bag behavior. And then I seen another young lady's video talking about how they treated her, how women started treating her once she lost weight. Meaning they started like being mean to her or whatever and treating her different. Now, I have a different perspective that I want to talk about because I feel like nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever really talks about it to me, the plus size pretty friend who is actually confident in how they try to drag you. I feel like that's a topic that nobody discusses. And I actually want to talk about it because I've experienced this my entire life. I have literally always been the thicker friend. Like I've always been a thicker friend, even since I was younger. And I still remember one of my childhood best friends was skinny. Like she probably was like a size 1, and I was probably like a 5'6" or something. I was still small, but I was thicker than her. And she used to say things like, "Yeah, because guys really like skinny girls." And I used to be like, Like, she was always trying to make me feel less than. And even in my adult years, hanging with girls that were slimmer, even light-skinned and slimmer, and they may have big butts, and I didn't have no butt, and guys would still treat me well, they will always find some type of way to try to attack my accomplishments or just me in general. Like, it was just weird. Like, in my early 20s, I want to say when I did have self-esteem issues, it never came from how I felt about myself, but how people I was hanging with was trying to make me feel about myself. You know, like I said, when they couldn't attack my appearance sometimes, they would attack like, "Oh yeah, because I went to such and such and got my hair done, and she did a good job." And these are people that I used to do their hair, and it was like they were always trying to make me feel like I wasn't good enough, when I really was the fucking prize. Like, not every plus size friend isn't confident. Not every plus size friend thinks they aren't beautiful or doesn't think highly of themselves. And I think it's really odd that there are women, even young girls, that will try to pick apart the plus size friend and make her feel like she shouldn't feel like she's pretty. And I've started to realize that these women and these young girls do not feel good about themselves, even being in their smaller bodies or their bigger butts. They literally, because they don't feel good about themselves, they sitting there like, "Bitch, you got a gut and no ass. Like, why do you feel good about yourself?" That's exactly how their brain works. And yeah, I kind of just wanted to talk about this. And I want to know, has anybody else experienced this in their life? Like, people not wanting you to love yourself, even though you are thicker or plus size. Like, I literally love myself. Like, I literally know I am fucking gorgeous. Like, I have never had no problem dating. And I've dated fine men with their shit together at that. I've been flued out, and I flued out on a sense of fucking. I've been flued out, didn't have sex, had a great time, all that. Like, I live a very fucking good, soft life. Like, for sure. So I want to know, ladies, have you ever experienced this?
Okay, so let's dive into this. First of all, y'all know I cite my sources because I don't be stealing people's stuff. So her name is Jasmine Bad on TikTok and Instagram, and I originally watched a video on a blogger's page. Her name is Real Yanni. So I want to dissect this from two different perspectives. I am going to talk about positive and negative experiences I've had in friendships and with women, and then I'll talk about positive and negative with like men.
Sorry to interrupt
So
your flow. I have a question though, real quick. Is it customary for women to just like take makeup and have conversations like that? Is that
yes,
like a
it's called a get ready with me.
oh, that's a thing?
Yeah, it's like you're doing two things at once. Like, come get ready with me and let's have a conversation.
Okay, so it flows naturally when they do that. Okay,
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah, and it's like my mind did two things at once. I'm listening to what she's saying, but I'm also like, ooh, what setting spray was that? And ooh, I like that powder puff you use. I got to get one of those.
I don't like the way how
It's like a
irritated
two.
you look when I interrupted you, but go ahead.
Because
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
know where you were going. That's why you never know with you. I wasn't sure.
That was a safe question.
So before I tell my experience, I want to preface this by saying I'm not using names and there's no ill intent behind it, but it's my experience, right? So from a positive perspective, and let me give you a little bit of history. Since I had my son, that's when I began to be like the plus size, like the thicker friend. Right after I had him, I pretty much went back down to my size, less than 200 pounds. But then once that Depo birth control hit my system, I blew up and I pretty much gained like 40 pounds in a very short amount of time. And it's been downhill from there. When I am in community with my best friends, and when I say my best friends, I mean like my friends from one of them from high school and then the rest of them from college. When we are in situations together and all of them are smaller than me, I never feel less than. So let's say, for instance, we're going shopping. We might go to Akira or Zara. I can't fit anything in there, but it's cool. I'm going to gas y'all up while y'all trying on y'all clothes, and I'm going to just look at the accessories. But please believe once we leave there, we are going to find a place where I am able to go and shop at, and everything I did for them is going to be reciprocated. So they've never felt the need to humble me. They never felt the need to make me feel less than ever. Now, throughout the journey of our friendship, there have been comments made as far as people kind of implying that it kind of seems like I don't match with them because of how I look or my aesthetic or whatever. But of course, it's not something that has ever affected us or our friendship throughout our journey. From a negative perspective, when I was living in Texas, I had an experience where, so we were going on a group trip. It was a co-ed trip, right? The women that were going decided that, outside of me, decided that they wanted to dress in matching pajamas. So one of them sent me the link and was like, hey, we want to dress up in matching pajamas. Here's the link. So I'm like, okay. I clicked the link. I go on Fashion Nova and a few things. Number one, the largest size was extra large. Okay. I'm a big mama. I can't do extra large. You're going to have to add another X in front of that, and then I got you, right? So that's number one. Number two, I know how to dress myself in a way that makes me comfortable and makes me look good. I can look at something and know that it's not going to look good on my body, and I'm not going to force it, right? The pajamas that they picked, it was not going to look good on me. And mind you, this group of women, they were all way smaller than I am. Way, way smaller. And number three, it's a co-ed trip. So it's going to be niggas there. We all sitting in the same house. I don't feel comfortable walking around in these pajamas with men in the vicinity. So it's these three things. I messaged back and I said, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this and it doesn't come in my size. And the response was, well, such and such was able to find her size. And there was like this annoyance. And I'm like, just because such and such was able to find their size has nothing to do with me. This stuff literally doesn't come in my size. And it was like, are you annoyed that I can't fit it? And I'm ruining like the whole matching pajama aesthetic. But it was like this deep annoyance that my size is not available and I'm throwing everything off. Now, when this situation happened back then, this was years ago. The person that I was back then is not the person I am now. So I didn't say anything. I didn't address it. I didn't call it out. If that shit had happened today, the person in front of you, I would have went the fuck off because I'm going to call it out and we're going to break this down because First of all, who you talking to? And second of all, what's the problem? So completely different. And also the woman that I was back then was nowhere near as confident as I am now. And I've talked about that on previous episodes from a confidence perspective. During the time that this happened, I had none. There was no confidence. There was no, self-esteem at all. So people were really getting away with murder and saying all types of shit. And I was letting it happen because at that time, that's all I knew. I didn't like conflict. I didn't like issues. I just felt like I just wanted to fit in. So in order to fit in, you kind of just got to shut up and you have to go with the flow. But there were so many times when I was living in Texas that I felt kind of how the girl said in the video. It was like, I felt like, people had to humble me, or people would kind of look down on me and really try to make me feel bad about myself, because this is the size that I am. Because when you look at the women in Houston in particular, they have a certain look, they show up in a certain way. And here I am trying to maneuver through that journey. And I don't have confidence. I don't have a self-esteem at all. And I didn't even know how to dress myself back then. Now, comfort is always going to be at the forefront. So I'm quick to put on a t-shirt or, leggings, and I really don't care how I'm showing up. We might be going to Chapman and Kirby, and I might be dressed up and have heels on for a second, but I'm going to go out to the car and put on my flats if my feet are hurting. And I've had situations where it's like, no, like, you better not go out to the car. You got to keep those shoes on. Even if they hurt, you got to keep those on. Because if you putting flats on, that's just not going to look good. We big girls, we got to look good. You got to keep yourself together. So I'm not together because I got on a flat shoe. Makes no sense to me. But again, not saying anything. So the whole birth of Coco happened in 2019 when I started feeling myself. And for me, it was like an out of body experience because I had never felt that throughout the journey of my life. So who is this person? And so she got a name, and the name stuck. It wasn't supposed to, but it stuck. And here we are today. So I follow so many plus size influencers. And if you read the comment section, it confirms how we live in a world where people really want you to feel like shit and not love yourself because you are in a larger body. I saw a post on social media, like, I think last week, and the guy said that he hates seeing overly confident fat people. Like, why does it bother you that a person who you consider to be fat is confident? Like, why is there this deep need for, people of a certain size to hate themselves? Like, it's sickening. I follow this lady on social media, and a lot of y'all probably heard of her or saw her videos, but on Instagram, her name is Operation Nikki, and she posts a lot of videos like cleaning. You'll see her like cleaning her house, but you'll also see her doing like travel content, or she'll like make food and stuff or organize. And yesterday I was watching a video, and she had did a travel vlog because she took her family to Jamaica. And I was reading the comment section, and somebody was like, no shade, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I'm just wondering if when you travel, do you have to ask for larger beds, or do you have to ask for like larger towels and just larger things, because you're big? And I'm like, why would you say this in somebody's comment section? Because if she reads that, like, do you think in your mind, like, how is that going to make her feel when she reads that? And why do you need to know that? It's just like, it's this sick obsession with wanting people to feel so bad about themselves. And then there's this assumption that because you are a larger person, that you are automatically unhealthy. And that is a huge myth. Just because you are of a certain weight does not automatically mean that you're not healthy. I keep up with my doctor's appointments. They do all types of lab work. I don't have any issues, even with this size that I have. Even when I had my health scare, which I think that was the beginning of last year, when I had to go to the hospital and I was in and out with specialists and stuff. Even the doctor himself was like, you're healthy. I've run all of these tests and I can't figure out what's wrong with you. My weight was never an issue at all. And he couldn't figure out what it was. So it was not like, oh, you're fat, you're unhealthy, that's why your heart is doing XYZ. He didn't know what the hell it was because he ran all of these tests. So it's a huge myth as far as your sizing and you not being healthy. Um, but in friendships with women, I think that it's sad that a lot of the body shaming and a lot of like the horrible things said come from women because I feel like women should understand each other on a different perspective because our bodies just go through so much on a regular basis. And when you're looking at a woman, you don't know where she is in her cycle. You don't know what she has going on. Your weight literally can fluctuate on a day to day basis. I have not been as vocal about my weight loss journey, and I really have no intention on ever being because it just opens you up for unsolicited opinions. It opens you up for unsolicited advice, and somebody always got some shit to say. It don't have anything to do with them, and I got tired of it. So I don't openly share about, oh, I lost this much weight, or oh, I'm doing this, or oh, I'm doing that. You'll see me posting about working out, but as far as anything else goes, I keep that super private and I really keep it to myself and I don't talk to anybody about it. It's just like you'll be able to see the results and you'll be able to know I'm at the gym because I'll post it on Facebook. But any of the specifics and details, I keep it to myself because I feel the need to protect myself. And if I don't open up about it, then that doesn't give anybody any ammunition to say anything really. So looking at it on the opposite perspective, from my experiences with men. Now, I talked about on the confidence episode that pretty much for the majority of my life, aside from the last couple of years, I had extremely low confidence and low self-esteem. In my last relationship, I went through, it was abusive. So physical abuse. But there was also a lot of emotional, mental, and verbal abuse, right? So I was saying all of the years of us being together, it was always like, if you get mad at me, I'm all types of fat bitches. There was always like this attack on my image. Mainly it was me being fat, or it was me being too dark, or it was me being ugly. This was like a most days of the week, damn near a daily thing. So when you're in a relationship with somebody for that many years, and this is what you're constantly hearing on a day-to-day basis from the person that you laying up with every single day, it's almost like in your mind, you go through this brainwashing and you really start to believe what it is that they're saying because you can't be saying it if it's not true. And there were no other like positive affirmations coming from anywhere else. What you say?
You need to be choked out. That's evil as fuck.
Yeah, so it's like you're constantly hearing this over and over and over and over again. So those are things that you start to believe about yourself. And the only reason things kind of came to a head once I kind of start feeling myself, and what he was trying to put into my mind wasn't working anymore. So it's like, okay, you keep calling me fat, but you laying up every night and you still keep wanting some. Yeah, you calling me ugly, but you over here. And one thing that I had noticed, it was like, I'm cool behind closed doors, right? So I'm cool doing the wife stuff and, you know, the stuff with the kids and all of that. But when you go out and you are, you know, cheating with whoever, all of the women look the same. They're all smaller. They're all lighter skinned. They're all this. They're all that. Like constantly over and over again. And it's reinforcing these things that you're coming home and telling me every day, oh, you a fat bitch. Oh, you this. Oh, you that. Constantly over and over again. And so I would say throughout my life, I have only had, I would say there has been one man that I felt like he affirmed me and there wasn't an ulterior motive and it wasn't like sex involved. So it was more like, if I'm doing any negative self-talk, it's like, no, like that's not the truth. It was like a space created for me where it's like, oh, if I'm having a bad day and I'm like, oh, I'm so bloated, I feel so fat. It's like, no, don't say that about yourself. You're beautiful. You're this, you're that. Or I can send over outfits and be like, oh, okay, so which one? This one or this one? And there wasn't any like, the responses weren't sexual and it wasn't lusty. It felt like it was coming from a genuine place. But I feel like with men, and of course not all men, they are really like damn near terrorists when it comes to how they approach a woman's body and how they talk about it and how they like address it. And when you're a plus size woman, you have to watch out for men. Like there are men that have fetishes and they will use that to their advantage. They will use you to fulfill that fetish. My experience, I would say back when I was on dating apps, I've had guys literally like will match and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? So can you send me your measurements? Like, what? Like, this doesn't even, and I completely understand people having preferences, but I also feel like it's a thin line between having a preference and being completely superficial. And I feel like men teeter that line, just they teeter it so much. And I don't think they realize how, for me, I think it's safe to say, it might be a reach saying all of the experiences, but I would say most of the experiences with men have been like, if there are, say, comments made about my body in a way like, oh, you got nice boobs, or oh, your thighs, or oh, this, or oh, that, there's an underlying reason for that. Like the only reason that you're telling me these things is because you trying to fuck. That's it. There is some type of lust involved, and that's pretty much how far it's gonna go. And it's almost been like, yeah, you cool behind the scenes. Like, it's cool for us to, be having sex and chilling back here behind closed doors. But when I show up and I show out in public, it's usually, for me, my experience with what I've seen is usually either somebody that's smaller or somebody that's lighter. And it's like, this is the person that you maneuvering out with in public, but you want to kind of keep me over here on the side as your plaything for whatever reason, even whether you're embarrassed or whether the reasonings I was never sure of, but there has always been a pattern with them. So when it comes with anything body related with men, it's just really like this sickening. It's just really like this sickening thing for me. And it always has been. And I've seen other women talk about it as well. I think a lot of times you see men so fascinated with a woman's body, as far as like to the point where all the red flags are there and you're missing them because it's like, oh, she got a fat ass, or oh, she got this and she got that. And you become mesmerized and you're not even seeing those red flags that are right there in your face because you're too obsessed with the body and the shape of it and the image of it that you're missing out on all of these red flags that are like right there in your face. So, how do we get to, and honestly, I don't think we'll ever get there. I think it's going to get way worse and it's just going to continue to be worse. But I really wish that society didn't have such an influence on like body image and how we feel about ourselves. One thing she said in the video, she said she didn't feel like that about herself because of anything that she did. She felt like that about herself because of all of the outside sources. And when she said that, it definitely made me think about how, me feeling the way that I felt about myself throughout my life. It wasn't because of, I would say a small part of it was rooted from me or came from me. I would say a large part of it was my environment and the people who were in my ear and the people who were not in my ear enough. And if I can go back, I kind of wish that the journey had went differently for me, because I think that a lot of the situations and the trauma that I had been through would have been different as well. But for so much of my life, it's been just so many body issues. But the good thing about it now is where I would say I'm in the best space that I've been in like ever in my life. I am the most confident that I've ever been. And I'm really at a point where I'm not letting what people say or think about me or my size or how I look get to me like I usually do. Like you really can't tell me shit now. And the mind frame I'm in now is a mind frame that I wish that I was in many, many moons ago. But I can't really dwell on that. All I can do is be happy that I'm here at this point and not allow myself to be dragged back to where I was before. And that's going to take continued work. That's going to take me continuing to work on my confidence and my self-esteem and kind of just pushing forward in the manner in which I have been doing. And I definitely appreciate those people who have been around me, especially I would say within the last like year or two, really pouring into me and really, helping me and really influencing me. I mean, even when it comes to like my look and like clothes and things like that, I really appreciate people for really helping me push myself out of the box and kind of try new things that I've never tried before, because that has contributed to where I am today for the most part. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had. I am going to be addressing societal influence on several different topics, but I really just wanted to start here with body image. And if you remember anything from what I said today, just remember that, you don't allow anyone on the outside to influence how you feel about your body. It does not matter what that number says on the scale. All that matters is how you feel about yourself. And if you are 300 pounds and you love yourself and you feel amazing, that's what you should do. And if you are 100 pounds and you feel amazing, then that's what you should do as well. And don't let anybody on the outside influence that. So yeah, lastly, I have my WTF segment. And I'm pretty sure, based on the time, she's not watching it because she's putting her child to bed. But she commented on my post and she asked me if I was bringing this today, what she calls a goblet. Now, this is a WTF. If you watch Love is Blind, you have seen these cups. All they do is drink out of these cups. It doesn't matter what they drink it out of this cup. If they go to a bar, if they go to a restaurant, they drink out of this cup. I hate these cups. I despise them.